The jarring sound of a fist hitting flesh echoed through the upscale coffee shop, freezing every customer mid-sip as Sophia Klein stumbled backward against a table, her hand instinctively touching her reddened cheek. Isaac Grayson, who had only stopped in for a quick caffeine fix before picking up his daughter from school, didn't hesitate. He was across the room in seconds, positioning himself between the elegant woman and the red-faced man in the expensive suit who had just struck her. "Back off," Isaac warned, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. At 34, he wasn't as fit as during his college football days, but the construction work that barely paid his bills kept him strong enough to look intimidating. "This is none of your business," the man snarled, his cologne as expensive as his watch. "That's my ex-wife, and she's trying to ruin me." Isaac didn't budge. "I don't care who she is, you don't hit women, period." The coffee shop had gone completely silent, phones discreetly recording what was becoming the most exciting thing to happen at Brewster's in years. Behind him, Isaac could hear the woman's shaky breathing as she regained her composure. "Do you know who I am?" The man demanded, straightening his tie. "Richard Parkman. I could buy this entire block and tear it down tomorrow." Isaac gave him a level stare. "And I could knock out your front teeth right now. Guess which one's more immediate." Security arrived, summoned by the barista's frantic call, and escorted Parkman out while he shouted threats about lawsuits and ruination. Only then did Isaac turn to check on the woman he'd defended. "Are you okay?" he asked, noticing for the first time how stunning she was even with mascara slightly smudged beneath one eye. "I'm fine," she said, her voice steadier than expected. "Thank you. Most people would have stayed out of it." "Most people aren't setting good examples for their kids," Isaac replied with a small shrug. She extended her hand. "Sophia Klein, Isaac Grayson." His calloused palm met her perfectly manicured one. "Can I buy you a coffee, Isaac? It seems like the least I can do." Isaac checked his watch. "I appreciate it, but I need to pick up my daughter from school in 20 minutes. "Another time, perhaps," Sophia said, pulling a business card from her purse. "I insist." Isaac hesitated before taking it. The card was heavy, expensive stock with embossed lettering. Sophia Klein, CEO, Klein Innovation Technologies. He tucked it into his pocket, certain he'd never call. Women like her didn't mix with single dads living paycheck to paycheck in the struggling part of town. "Maybe," he offered noncommittally before heading for the door, unaware that the brief encounter had just altered the trajectory of both their lives. 3 days later, Isaac was struggling with a leaking pipe under his kitchen sink when his phone rang. Emma, his 8-year-old daughter, answered it before he could extract himself from the cabinet. "Daddy," she called, her voice excited. "It's a lady who says you saved her." Isaac took the phone, wiping his hands on his jeans. "This is Isaac." "Mr. Grayson, it's Sophia Klein from the coffee shop incident. I hope you don't mind that I tracked down your number." He frowned slightly. "How did you manage that?" "I have resources," she said simply. "Listen, I've been thinking about how to thank you properly, and I was wondering if you and your daughter might like to join me for dinner tomorrow night. Nothing fancy, just a proper thank you." Isaac's first instinct was to decline. He had been down this road before wealthy people occasionally took an interest in helping the struggling single dad, but it always came with strings and ultimately left Emma disappointed when they inevitably moved on to their next charitable project. "That's really not necessary," he began. "Dad," Emma whispered loudly enough for Sophia to hear, "is that the princess from the coffee shop?" Isaac covered the phone. "How do you know about that?" Janie's mom showed her the video, and Janie showed me at school. "You looked like a superhero." Isaac closed his eyes briefly. "Of course there was a video. Please, Mr. Grayson," Sophia continued. "I understand your hesitation, but I promise it's just dinner. Emma sounds delightful, and I'd love to meet her." Looking at his daughter's hopeful face, Isaac surrendered. "Fine, but nowhere too fancy. We don't need charity." "I understand completely. How about Carlo's on Elm Street? Casual Italian, good for kids." We know it, Isaac replied, surprised she'd suggested a place in his price range. 7 o'clock. Perfect, I'll see you both then. After hanging up, Isaac returned to the leaking pipe, wondering what he'd just agreed to. Carlos was busy when they arrived, but Sophia had reserved a corner booth. She waved them over, and Isaac was struck again by how beautiful she was, tonight in simple jeans and a blue blouse that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Emma approached the table with uncharacteristic shyness. "Are you really a millionaire?" "Emma," Isaac scolded, mortified. Sophia laughed, the sound genuine and warm. "It's okay. Yes, Emma, I am, but that's just money. It doesn't make me any different from you." Emma seemed to consider this. "My dad says money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure helps with the bills." This time both adults laughed, breaking the tension. The dinner progressed easily after that, with Emma chattering about school and her upcoming science fair project. Isaac watched, fascinated, as Sophia engaged with his daughter, asking thoughtful questions and offering genuine interest in Emma's answers. "So what exactly do you do?" Isaac asked when Emma excused herself to visit the restroom. "My company develops medical technology. Specifically, we create affordable prosthetics for children." Sophia's eyes lit up as she spoke. "We've developed a way to make adjustable prosthetic limbs that grow with the child, eliminating the need for constant replacements." "That's actually incredible," Isaac said, impressed despite himself. "What about you?" Emma mentioned construction. "Nothing as glamorous." "I'm a foreman for Westside Construction. We're currently renovating the old theater downtown. The Majestic. That's a beautiful building." Before Isaac could respond, Emma returned, and the conversation shifted back to her world of third-grade politics and after-school activities. As they waited for dessert, Emma asked the question Isaac had been dreading. "Why did that mean man hit you at the coffee shop?" Sophia's expression flickered briefly before she composed herself. "That was my ex-husband, Richard. He was very angry about some business decisions I've made." "That's no excuse," Emma declared with 8-year-old certainty. "You're absolutely right," Sophia agreed. "Nobody should ever hit someone else out of anger." Isaac watched this exchange, noticing how Sophia didn't talk down to Emma or dismiss her question. He found himself increasingly intrigued by this woman who seemed so at ease with herself and with them, despite the obvious differences in their circumstances. After dinner, Sophia insisted on paying, and Isaac reluctantly allowed it. As they walked to the parking lot, Emma skipping ahead, Sophia turned to him. "I had a lovely time tonight, Isaac. Your daughter is wonderful." "Thanks. I think so too, though I'm biased. Would it be too forward to suggest we do this again sometime?" Perhaps without the pretense of it being a thank you, Isaac hesitated, his practiced defenses rising. "Look, Sophia, you seem great, but we come from different worlds. I'm struggling to make rent most months while raising Emma on my own. You. "I understand," she said, her expression unreadable in the dim parking lot lights. "But maybe different worlds could be a good thing. Just think about it." Before he could answer, Emma called for him from beside his aging pickup truck. Sophia smiled and handed him another business card, this one with her personal number written on the back. "No pressure," she said, then walked to her sleek Audi parked nearby. For 2 weeks, Isaac thought about calling Sophia. He found himself reaching for his phone during lunch breaks, only to put it away again. Emma asked about the nice lady almost daily, making it clear she'd enjoyed their dinner together. Then, fate intervened. The construction company landed a major contract, renovating the office building that housed Klein Innovation Technologies. On his first day at the new site, Isaac found himself face to face with Sophia as she came to inspect the progress. "Isaac," she exclaimed, clearly pleased. "I had no idea your company won the bid," he smiled despite himself. "Small world. I'm doing a walkthrough with your boss in 10 minutes. Perhaps you could join us." And so began a peculiar dance. Every few days, Sophia would find a reason to visit the construction site. and Isaac would find himself extending his lunch break to walk her through the progress. They talked about everything: her company's mission, Emma's science fair victory, his dreams of someday starting his own renovation business specializing in historic homes. One afternoon, as they stood in what would become the company's new lobby, Sophia revealed something unexpected. "The day you defended me, I was facing the biggest challenge of my career. Richard was threatening to sabotage a major contract because I refused to sell him my controlling shares. He's been trying to take over my company since our divorce." "That's why he hit you? Over business?" She nodded. "He's always had a temper, but that was the first time he'd been physical in public. You stopping him actually saved more than you know." The video went viral in certain circles, and his investors got nervous about his stability. "It gave me the leverage I needed." "I'm glad something good came of it," Isaac said, uncomfortable with the idea of being her savior. "Something very good," she agreed, looking at him with an intensity that made his heart race. "Isaac, would you have dinner with me Friday night? Just us this time?" He knew he should say no. Their worlds were too different, but the words that came out were, "I'll see if my sister can watch Emma." Their first real date was nothing like Isaac expected. Instead of an upscale restaurant, Sophia suggested they meet at River Park, where a food truck festival was happening. She arrived in jeans and a t-shirt, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, looking more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. They spent hours wandering from truck to truck, sampling everything from Korean tacos to gourmet grilled cheese. As the sun set, they found a spot on the grass to listen to a local band playing cover songs. "This is not what I imagined when a Millionaire CEO asked me out," Isaac admitted, stretching his legs out on the blanket she'd brought. "Disappointed?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "The opposite, actually. This is nice, real." "I grew up in a neighborhood not unlike yours," Sophia said quietly. "My parents worked multiple jobs. I was on scholarship all through school. The money came later after my first patent. So you weren't born with a silver spoon." "More like tarnished aluminum," she laughed. "Richard, on the other hand, old money, boarding schools, the works. It was part of what attracted me at first. The stability seemed so appealing after years of struggle." "What went wrong?" Isaac asked, then immediately backpedaled. "Sorry, that's too personal." "No, it's fine." Sophia gazed at the band as she spoke. "What went wrong was that I changed, and he didn't. I wanted to use our resources to help people like the Children's Prosthetics Program. He wanted social status and more wealth. When my company became more successful than his family business, his ego couldn't handle it." "His loss," Isaac said simply. She turned to him then, her expression softening. "What about you? Emma mentioned her mom isn't around." "Lisa left when Emma was 2. Said she wasn't cut out for motherhood or marriage. Last I heard, she was in California with husband number 3. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Emma barely remembers her, and honestly, we're better off." Lisa was right about one thing: she wasn't mother material. As the night grew darker and the crowd thinned, they found themselves talking more freely. About disappointments and victories, about raising Emma alone, about Sophia's fears that her success made her a target. When a slight chill entered the air, Isaac hesitated only briefly before putting his arm around her shoulders. She leaned into him as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Their first kiss happened there in the park, under the glow of string lights, with a band playing a slow Van Morrison cover in the background. It was gentle, questioning, and over far too quickly for Isaac's liking. "I should get you home," he said reluctantly. "I promised Emma I wouldn't be too late." On the drive to Sophia's downtown condo, a comfortable silence filled the truck. At her building, he walked her to the door, feeling like a teenager again. "I'd like to see you again," she said, her hand resting lightly on his chest. "I'd like that too," he admitted, "but there's Emma to consider, and your ex sounds complicated. Let me worry about Richard. As for Emma, maybe we could do something all together next time. I've been wanting to check out that new science museum." Isaac couldn't help smiling. She'd love that. What followed were weeks of careful integration. Museum trips where Sophia patiently explained exhibits to Emma. Sunday brunches where the three of them debated the merits of waffles versus pancakes. Movie nights at Isaac's modest house, with Sophia arriving bearing gourmet popcorn but seeming perfectly content on his worn couch. Each time, Isaac waited for Sophia to show signs of boredom with their simple life. But instead, she seemed to bloom in their company. She helped Emma with her homework, rolled up her sleeves to assist Isaac when his truck needed repairs, and never once made him feel less than her equal. For her part, Emma had quickly moved from fascination with Sophia's wealth to genuine attachment to the woman herself. "She doesn't treat me like a little kid," Emma confided in Isaac one night. "She listens like what I say matters." The construction project at Klein Technologies was nearing completion when trouble arrived in the form of Richard Parkman. Isaac was reviewing plans with a subcontractor when raised voices drew his attention to the main entrance. Richard stood there, facing Sophia, his posture aggressive despite the public setting. "You think you've won, don't you?" he was saying as Isaac approached. "Using that viral video to turn my board against me. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not over." "It is over, Richard," Sophia replied calmly. "The restraining order is still in effect. You need to leave." "Or what? Your blue-collar bodyguard will rough me up again." Richard sneered, noticing Isaac's approach. "Is that your thing now, Sophia? Slumming with the help?" Isaac kept his voice level. "Sir, I need to ask you to leave the premises. This is an active construction site and you're not authorized to be here." "I'm talking to my wife," Richard snapped. "Ex-wife," Sophia corrected. "For 3 years now." "You think you're so smart, but I know things," Richard continued, his face flushing. "About your new prototype, about the certification problems you're hiding from the board." Isaac watched Sophia pale slightly and knew Richard had hit a nerve. He stepped closer, his size advantage more apparent. "Final warning," Isaac said quietly. "Leave now, or I call security and the police to enforce that restraining order." For a tense moment, it seemed Richard might escalate. Then, with a cold smile, he backed away. "This isn't over, Sophia." "And you," he pointed at Isaac, "you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." After Richard left, Sophia's professional composure crumbled slightly. "I'm sorry you had to deal with that." Was he telling the truth about certification problems? She hesitated. "Not exactly. We've hit a snag with our latest prototype. Nothing unsafe, but enough to delay approval. If the board knew, they might panic and pull funding. And that would be bad. It would mean laying off 60 people and abandoning a project that could help thousands of children." She ran a hand through her hair. "I just need 2 more weeks to fix the issues." Isaac studied her for a long moment. "I believe you, but secrets have a way of complicating things." "I know," she said quietly. "I just need a little more time." That night, unable to sleep, Isaac found himself weighing what he knew about Sophia against Richard's insinuations. He believed in her integrity, but relationships built on shaky foundations rarely lasted. He'd learned that lesson with Emma's mother. The next day, Richard's threats materialized. Isaac arrived at the construction site to find the project manager waiting with a grim expression. "We've been ordered to halt work," he said, handing Isaac a legal document, "some kind of injunction about permit violations." The document was filled with legal jargon, but the essence was clear. Richard was claiming the renovation violated historical preservation codes. It was nonsense, but it would take days, maybe weeks to sort out. "This affects everyone's paycheck," Isaac said, thinking of his crew men and women with families who, like him, lived paycheck to paycheck. "I know. I'm sorry, Isaac." Isaac tried calling Sophia, but her assistant said she was in back-to-back meetings all morning. Frustrated, he drove to her office, only to be told by security that he couldn't go up without an appointment. "Tell her Isaac Grayson is here. It's urgent." The security guard made the call, and minutes later, Sophia emerged from the elevator, looking harried. "Isaac, what's wrong?" He showed her the injunction. "Your ex is playing hardball." She scanned the document, her expression darkening. This is absurd. These claims are completely fabricated. Maybe, but it's shut down the job site. 40 people are out of work until it's resolved. Sophia's eyes met his. I'll fix this, today. How legal battles take time. My crew doesn't have time. They have bills, families. Trust me, she said, squeezing his arm. I'll handle it. Can you gather everyone at the site at 4 o'clock? Isaac wanted to demand more details, but something in her determination stopped him. Okay, 4 o'clock. At exactly 4, Sophia arrived at the construction site with her lawyer. The crew had gathered as requested, their faces reflecting varying degrees of concern and resignation. Thank you all for coming, Sophia began. First, I want to apologize for the disruption to your work. The injunction filed against this project is baseless, but unfortunately effective in the short term. Murmurs of discontent spread through the group. However, she continued, I refuse to let anyone suffer because of what is essentially a personal vendetta against me. My lawyer has checks for each of you a full week's wages as an advance against the work that will continue once we resolve this issue, which I expect will be very soon. Isaac watched in amazement as Sophia's lawyer distributed the checks. The mood instantly shifted, relief replacing anxiety. Additionally, Sophia said, Klein Technologies will be providing a $500 bonus to each of you when work resumes, as appreciation for your patience during this unfortunate situation. After the crew dispersed, Isaac pulled Sophia aside. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, she replied firmly. Richard is targeting you and your crew to get to me. I won't let him hurt innocent people. How are you going to resolve the injunction? A small, determined smile appeared on her face. I have leverage he doesn't know about. Trust me, this will be settled by tomorrow. True to her word, the injunction was lifted the next day. When Isaac asked how she'd managed it, Sophia was vague, mentioning only that Richard's investors were very interested in learning about his tactics. Work resumed, but Richard's interference had opened a door that couldn't be closed. Isaac began to worry that being involved with Sophia meant being caught in a high-stakes game he wasn't equipped to play. The anxiety affected his sleep, his work, and eventually, his relationship with Sophia. You're pulling away, she said one evening as they sat on his porch swing after Emma had gone to bed. Ever since Richard showed up at the site. I'm concerned, Isaac admitted. This feud between you two, it's affecting more than just us. It affected my entire crew, their livelihoods. And I fixed it, she pointed out. This time, what about next time, or the time after that? He sighed heavily. I have to think about Emma. I can't have her caught in some toxic battle between millionaires. Is that what you think this is? Sophia asked, hurt evident in her voice. That I'm just another rich person playing games? No, he said honestly. But your life comes with complications that mine doesn't. I need stability for Emma, for myself. So that's it. You're ending things because my ex is a jerk. I'm saying I need to think about what's best for my daughter. Sophia stood abruptly. I think I should go. Sophia, no, you're right. You need to do what's best for Emma. Her voice softened. And maybe I need to handle some unfinished business before I can offer either of you the stability you deserve. The following days were miserable. Emma constantly asked about Sophia, unable to understand the sudden absence of someone who had become so important to her. Isaac threw himself into work, but found his thoughts drifting to Sophia, her laugh, her quiet strength, the way she always seemed to understand exactly what Emma needed. A week after their conversation on the porch, Isaac received a text from Sophia. Turn on Channel 8 News now. Puzzled, he did as instructed. The business segment was featuring breaking news. Richard Parkman, CEO of Parkman Industries, had resigned amid allegations of corporate espionage and market manipulation. The reporter explained that evidence had emerged showing Parkman had attempted to sabotage Klein Innovation Technologies through illegal means. Isaac's phone rang immediately. Did you see it? Sophia asked without preamble. I just did, What happened? Remember I said I had leverage. Turns out Richard had been using insider information to manipulate stocks. I had proof, but held off using it because of the potential blowback. After he targeted your crew, I decided enough was enough. So he's out of the picture, as much as anyone with his resources can be. But his legal troubles will keep him occupied for the foreseeable future, and the restraining order is now permanent. Isaac absorbed this information. Why are you telling me this? Because you were right, she said softly. My life was too complicated, too unstable. But I've been working to change that for myself and for anyone who might want to share it with me. The construction project was completed 2 weeks later. On the final day, Isaac was overseeing the last details when Sophia arrived for the official walkthrough. They had spoken only briefly since the news about Richard, maintaining a professional distance that felt wrong in every way. After the formal inspection and signatures, Sophia asked Isaac to stay behind. Once everyone else had left, she guided him to the rooftop terrace that had been part of the renovation. I wanted to show you something, she said, leading him to the edge where the city spread out before them. See that building there? The Victorian with the turret? Isaac nodded. It was a beautiful but dilapidated historic home in one of the city's older neighborhoods. I bought it, Sophia said, for my next project. Renovation? He asked, professional interest piqued despite himself. Yes, and I need someone who specializes in historic homes. She turned to face him. Someone who dreams of starting his own renovation business someday. Isaac stared at her. What are you saying? I'm saying I'd like to offer you a job. Partnership, actually. Klein Grayson Historic Restorations. 50-50? Sophia, I can't accept that. It's too much. It's not charity, she insisted. It's investment in someone whose work I respect and whose vision I share. She paused. And maybe it's also a way to keep someone I care about in my life. Isaac was speechless, overwhelmed by the gesture and what it implied. You don't have to answer now, Sophia continued. Just think about it, the business opportunity and the rest. The rest? Us, me, you, Emma, I miss you both, more than I thought possible. The admission hung between them, fragile and honest. Isaac found himself moving closer, drawn to her vulnerability and strength. Emma misses you too, he said softly. She asks about you every day. And what about her dad? Sophia's voice wavered slightly. Does he miss me? In answer, Isaac closed the distance between them, his hands gently framing her face as he kissed her with all the feeling he'd been suppressing. Every single day, he whispered against her lips. 6 months later, Emma stood in the front yard of their new home, the renovated Victorian that had become both Klein Grayson Historic Restoration's showcase project and the place where the three of them had become a family. Dad, hurry up or we'll be late. She called, adjusting the junior bridesmaid dress she was so proud of. Inside, Isaac straightened his tie, still unused to wearing formal attire. Sophia appeared in the doorway, radiant in a simple white dress that made his heart skip. Ready to make it official. She asked, her smile lighting up the room they had restored together, plank by careful plank. More than ready, he replied, taking her hand. Though I'm still not sure why a millionaire CEO would choose a formerly struggling dad. Former struggling dad, current successful business owner, she corrected, smoothing his lapel. And I chose you because you defended me when you had nothing to gain, because you put your daughter's well-being above everything, because you see me for who I am, not what I'm worth. Pretty sure what you're worth is everything, Isaac said, leading her toward the door where Emma waited impatiently. Right answer, Sophia laughed, squeezing his hand as they stepped outside together, no longer from different worlds but creators of a new one all their own. As they drove to the small chapel where their closest friends waited, Isaac reflected on the unlikely journey from defending a stranger in a coffee shop to finding the love of his life. Sometimes, he thought, the best things come from simply doing what's right, without any expectation of reward. And sometimes, the reward turns out to be greater than anything you could have imagined.